So, here's the reality. Shedeur Sanders, NFL rookie, quarterback, and full-blown system disruptor, just executed what may be the most groundbreaking contract maneuver in professional sports history. And no, this isn't some oversized signing bonus or flashy endorsement kicker. This isn't about money gained. It's about authority seized. Introducing the Prime Equity Clause. If you're here for the real story, the messy twists they'll never show on highlight reels, hit subscribe. And if you want to witness this Browns quarterback chaos unfold in real time, you should definitely be subscribed. Now, at first glance, it might look like legal jargon buried in fine print, but dig beneath the surface and you'll see. It's not just a clause in Sanders' contract. It's a battle line drawn in the dirt. A dividing mark between the old NFL and whatever comes next. Because Shedeur didn't just sign with the league. He partnered with it. While most rookies are simply thrilled to make the roster, grin awkwardly through their first post-game interview, and accept whatever image the team assigns them, Sanders walked into negotiations like he owned the franchise, and walked out with a clause that could shake the very foundations of the NFL's tightly controlled empire. This clause hands Shedeur a direct percentage, yes, a literal cut, of all revenue tied to his name, image, and likeness. That means jerseys. That means sponsorships. That means broadcast rights, commercials, collaborations, content streams, everything. If the NFL profits from Shedeur Sanders, then Shedeur Sanders profits too. And just like that, decades of the NFL's ironclad grip over player branding went up in flames. To put this in perspective, rookie contracts have always been rigid, standardized, militaristic. You get your base salary, your bonuses, your media training, and that's it. The league markets you however it wants. The team defines your narrative. The broadcasts select your highlights. And if you go viral, congratulations. Every dollar flows somewhere else. But Shedeur said, no, we're not doing that. His clause flips the script completely. He's not just an asset for the NFL to exploit. He's an economic engine in his own right. The league doesn't just employ him, they owe him. And the numbers already prove it. His rookie deal, worth $4.66 million. Respectable. But Sanders has already raked in $14 million, yes, before his first official start, through personal brand deals, independent media ventures, merchandise drops, and licensing tied directly to his likeness. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a player, he's a platform. He owns his YouTube, his Instagram, his Twitch streams, his mini-docs, his behind-the-scenes vlogs. He has his own production crew, his own editors, his own business infrastructure. He doesn't need the NFL to narrate his story. He's already broadcasting it himself to millions in real time. And it's not just him. His brother plays a pivotal role in building this family-run media empire that rivals, if not surpasses, the NFL's official productions. Their content feels authentic. It feels modern. It speaks Gen Z and Gen Alpha fluently. And it sells. His jersey sales alone, over $250 million in revenue. Let that sink in. One rookie generating $250 million in merch sales. With the Prime Equity Clause in effect, that's not just a headline, it's Sanders' personal income. No wonder NFL executives are quietly panicking. This isn't just about putting extra dollars in a player's account. It's about putting leverage in his hands. And in the NFL's universe, power is supposed to belong to the Shield. The league has always shaped the narrative, controlled the branding, and owned the spotlight. Players were meant to perform, smile, sign, repeat. But Sanders tore up that script. He didn't enter the NFL to be managed. He entered to be partnered with. Now, every rookie is watching. Every agent is watching. Every veteran star who spent years crafting their own brand under the NFL's shadow is watching. Because the instant this clause leaked, the entire conversation shifted. Forget collective bargaining. Forget revenue splits. Forget NIL debates. The question became, why don't I have that? And that's the NFL's worst nightmare. Because the prime equity clause isn't just disruptive, it's contagious. If this becomes the new model, the league doesn't just lose control of branding. It loses its entire stranglehold on how value itself is structured.
They must extend alliances, infrastructure, and creative sovereignty, because now the NFL faces questions it never imagined confronting. What happens when the players eclipse the league in influence? Shedeur's model echoes the blueprint of global icons in other sports. Think LeBron James, who owns production houses, media empires, and orchestrates his narrative with surgical precision. Think Cristiano Ronaldo, whose personal platforms generate more revenue than some clubs earn in an entire season. Shedeur's contract plants that same revolutionary seed in the NFL, and it's already sprouting. The league's meticulously curated world, where stars sparkle but the shield always gleams brighter, now faces its first authentic challenger, not from outside agitators, but from within. And the wildest part? This didn't stem from a union revolt. It wasn't forged through years of negotiations. It wasn't forced by collective bargaining. It happened because one rookie recognized his worth and refused to play by the antiquated script. And perhaps the most unsettling part for the NFL, it worked. The clause was approved. The merchandise is flying. The fans are obsessed. The revenue is undeniable. And now the precedent is solidified. That's why the NFL isn't just irritated. They're intimidated. Intimidated that the Shedeur-Sanders model will become the standard, that future rookies will arrive with their own media teams, that players will demand ownership of their content, that NIL equity becomes a baseline, not a bonus. And when that day arrives, the NFL's entire economic hierarchy flips. Power won't drip from the league to the teams, to the players. It will surge upward, from the players, through their brands, their voices, their equity. Suddenly, the NFL becomes what it swore it would never be. A cog in the player's enterprise instead of the player being a cog in theirs. So what now? The genie is already out of the bottle. Shedeur's deal is signed. His empire is live. The receipts are public. The influence is multiplying. Does the league fight back? Tighten rookie deals in the next negotiations? Try to stuff future talent back into the box Shedeur just shattered? Or do they adapt? Because here's the undeniable reality. The fans have already chosen. They adore Shedeur. They crave the access, the personality, the raw authenticity. They don't want the NFL's polished highlight reels. They want Shedeur's story, through his lens, his voice, his timeline. If the league tries to suffocate, that they won't just lose sales or viewers, they'll lose relevance. This isn't merely about one player. This is about evolution. And Shedeur-Sanders, he's the future. The NFL can resist, or it can follow. Now let's break this down deeper, because the further you dig, the more seismic it becomes. This isn't simply a savvy rookie finding a loophole. This is a player, a rookie, who grasped instantly what takes most athletes decades to realize. Ownership is everything. Control the narrative. Control the value. control the leverage. And once you command leverage, you don't just play the game. You redefine it. Shedeur Sanders just walked into the most powerful sports institution on earth and flipped the table like it was his own coffee stand. He didn't beg for better terms. He didn't wait for permission. He dictated the rules. And what's most terrifying, for the league at least, he did it with no drama, no scandals, no leaks, no legal warfare. He presented the blueprint, set the terms, and the NFL simply said, okay. That quiet approval of the prime equity clause. That was the sound of a dam breaking. Now, agents are scrambling. College stars are recalibrating draft strategies. Veterans are texting their reps. Why didn't I get a clause like that? And with good reason. For decades, the NFL has profited off its players' talent, energy, and likeness. Shedeur just drew a line in the turf. Not anymore. Not without me at the table. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just about money. This is about agency, autonomy, and longevity. Shedeur isn't chasing a 10-year career. He's crafting a 50-year brand. He understands today's athletes are judged not just by their stats, but by their presence, their voice, their cultural footprint. The NFL has always kept players confined to roles that serve the shield. But what happens when the player becomes the shield? When the player becomes the brand? That's what Shedeur has accomplished. His NIL, under his control. His Instagram, his empire, his YouTube. Fully monetized, fully independent. Sponsorships? Straight to him, no league filters. He doesn't need spin doctors or PR cleanup. He is the story, told in real time to millions across platforms the NFL cannot govern. And the league, they can't keep pace. They spent decades fortifying a system that Shedeur Sanders just blew wide open. The NFL has spent decades engineering a system designed to keep players in check through binding contracts, image management, and rigid structures. But Shedeur emerges from an entirely different school of thought. To him, personality isn't a liability, it's currency. And in today's marketplace, that awareness is priceless. You want proof of how disruptive this is? Shedeur Sanders currently commands more digital influence than entire NFL franchises. His engagement metrics tower over official team accounts. His vlogs attract more young viewers than most team YouTube channels combined. And when he speaks, people listen. Not because a corporate sponsor told them to, but because he's earned trust directly from his audience. Here's the truth. The NFL dreads acknowledging influence equals leverage. In today's ecosystem, influence outpaces legacy. You can own a Hall of Fame bust and still generate fewer clicks than a rookie filming a hotel room Q&A. And Shedeur understands that better than anyone in his class. He's not just playing inside the league, he's dominating outside of it, too. And he's winning both games. Now let's talk impact, because this isn't unfolding in a vacuum. The NFL may be a billion-dollar machine, but it's a fragile one, built on routine, regulation, and control. The moment players realize they don't need to sign away their identity to succeed, that they can go direct to consumer and carry the fans with them, the entire foundation begins to shake. Executives already whisper about Containment strategy. Translation: how do we stop this Shedeur movement from spreading? But it's too late. You can't squeeze toothpaste back into the tube. You can't unsell freedom once it's tasted. And if the NFL tries to clamp down, tightening rules, restricting media rights, they'll look exactly like what Shedeur's contract already exposed. A league terrified of evolution. And fans, they're not naive. They see the machinery. They see when a player is being boxed out. And they're not buying the old team-first narrative anymore, especially not when the player in question just set a new global benchmark for athlete empowerment. The league looks dated, rigid, and reactive. Meanwhile, Shedeur is setting terms, controlling his image, and raking in revenue, without even playing a full regular season game. That's not a flex. That's a blueprint, and you can bet the next generation is watching. Agents are already printing out Shedeur's deal, highlighting the prime equity clause in neon. College stars are recalibrating their draft strategies. This isn't just precedent, it's the new gold standard. Because for decades, the NFL has operated like it's the final destination, the big stage, the end game. But players like Shedeur are flipping that narrative on its head. They're not chasing the league anymore. They're constructing their own stages, bigger, faster, and with global reach. The NFL becomes just a chapter in their story, not the entire book. And the league knows it. That's why they're fuming. Because this isn't merely about money. It's about the loss of control. Control over the spotlight. Control over the storylines. Control over the ecosystem they've monopolized for generations. But Shedeur doesn't want their ecosystem. He's building his own. One where he owns the content, the narrative, the equity. And maybe the most dangerous part? He's only getting started. So what happens when the next Shedeur walks in, demanding the same? When NIL ownership, media control, and brand independence become expectations, not exceptions. When rookies stop begging for seats at the table and start constructing their own tables, here's what happens. The game changes forever, and the NFL has two choices: adapt or be left behind. Make no mistake, this is a revolution, and the league knows it. You can practically feel the panic drifting through those skyscrapers on Park Avenue. Somewhere right now, an executive is staring at a slide deck titled Player Autonomy Risk Matrix, wondering how the world's most powerful sports league just got outmaneuvered by a 21-year-old with a camera crew and a brand strategy. And the irony, this isn't some gimmick. It isn't dumb luck. This is Shedeur Sanders executing a long game built brick by digital brick. Long before the NFL could stamp his face on a generic promo reel, he was documenting, creating, and narrating his own story. While other rookies posted gym selfies and grind in silence cliches, Shedeur was architecting a brand. Deliberate, calculated, visionary. The league thought it was signing a quarterback. What it actually got was an enterprise. A creator. A player who walked in not asking, "How do I fit into your system?" but declaring, "Here's how my system works. You can join it, or get out of the way." And the wildest part? It's working. Sponsors are lining up, merchandise is flying, media culture is amplifying him. Every time he posts, even just strolling into practice in a hoodie and shades, it goes viral. Why? Because fans know they're witnessing something new. This isn't just hype. This isn't just charisma. This is architecture. Brand architecture, Shedeur, is constructing this empire in real time, with zero help from the NFL and complete dominion over every pixel. The old guard is rattled because for decades the league thrived on one unshakable truth. The shield is the star. Players rotated in and out, but the brand remained immortal. They endured scandals, strikes, protests, lawsuits, and still, they controlled the story. Until now. Because now the story no longer lives in the league office. It lives in the vlogs, the podcasts, the mic'd-up moments that Shedeur distributes himself. That is power they can't confiscate. And it's not theory, not speculation, not some distant someday. It's happening right now. There's a reason the NFL hasn't plastered Shedeur across its marketing machine like it has with other rookies who flashed briefly before, being tucked neatly into PR strategy. With Shedeur, they don't know how to handle him because he's uncontrollable. Not reckless, not chaotic, but uncontrollable in the most dangerous way possible for a legacy institution. He doesn't need them. Think about it. When was the last time the NFL had a rookie? It couldn't mold, couldn't brand, couldn't filter through its machinery. Shedeur strolls into Media Day, already commanding a larger audience than most outlets in the room. He doesn't have to build fan rapport. It's already there. He told his story before the league ever had a chance, and the fans bought in. And now the NFL faces two impossible choices. Option A, embrace it, adapt, loosen the gates, allow players equity, NIL rights, media autonomy, share the spotlight, relinquish control. Option B, clamp down. Pretend Shedeur is an anomaly. Quietly instruct teams to avoid similar clauses. Circle the wagons. The problem. Neither option safeguards the NFL. Adapt, and they lose power. Resist, and they lose relevance. Because the next generation doesn't want to be polished robots anymore. They want to be creators, CEOs, moguls. And Shedeur just proved it's possible before playing a single full regular season game. So zoom out. Imagine you're a college athlete watching this unfold. NIL is already chaos at your level. Messy, unstructured, fragile. Then you watch Shedeur step into the pros. Not just keep his independence, but expand it. That's the template now. Not just for quarterbacks, for receivers, edge rushers, safeties, linebackers. If you have a brand, a following, a voice, why would you ever surrender it again? And here's where the NFL is in genuine peril. Because once players understand, they can be athletes and owners, competitors and corporations. They're never going back. They'll ask, if Shedeur can demand it, why can't I? And the only real answer is, because the league doesn't want you to. The moment that dam bursts, the NFL transforms into something unrecognizable. No, it won't collapse overnight. It's too big for that. But its monopoly over the player brand, Pipeline? Finished. They may still own Sundays, but Shedeur Sanders owns everything else. The culture, the conversation, the future. He's not just another prospect. He's the prototype, the new mold, the reference point. And that terrifies the league, because the machine they built only works when players stay silent. And Shedeur? He's asking the loudest questions, publicly, fearlessly, successfully. So what now? For the first time, the NFL is staring down a reality it's never confronted before. A rookie with leverage from day one. A rookie who can say no. A rookie who could walk away from the machine and still win. And if you don't think that shakes the league's power brokers, you're not paying attention. So here's the final question. Do you want more players like Shedeur? Do you want a league where stars own their light? Or are you clinging to a system that only works if players remain in their place? Either way, the game has changed, and Shedeur Sanders, he's already 3 moves ahead. This isn't just a contract, it's a countdown. Thank you guys, see you next video.